I'm Mark with the IBEW Local 570, and I just want, I know it's going to go a little bit against the grain tonight, but we represent over 1,000 electricians working for Tucson Electric Power, the various electrical co-ops here. So basically when these lights turn on, there's about 1,000 people behind this light bulb that are members that are putting it to, that are making it work. I will tell you that some of our folks that are here in this audience are very shy, but they came in from Yuma to be here because it means that much to them. They did that because there's no jobs left here. If you're not working at the Border Patrol Station in Douglas or Nogales or driving all the way to Tucson where there's only a limited number of jobs, you're on the road. Our 5-year apprenticeship, our electricians are very proud of who they are, what they've trained to become, what they do every day. But right now, they just can't feed their families. They're on the road 5-6 hours a day. There are some ideas that I think need to be fleshed out here, but we think that this can be built safely, on time, under budget, and by union electricians.
There's no jobs there either.
While we're getting to the next, I want to say something about, I actually used to be, some of you know I used to be an Arizona Corporation Commissioner, and it struck me in listening to all of you so far. So one of the things that, and some of you know I'm not a big fan of well, I wouldn't say I'm not a big fan of utilities, but I was tough on utilities when I was a corporation commissioner. And I have intervened against the proposed TEP and APS rate increases recently, but that's not my point. My point is this. One of the things that the utilities and the Corporation Commission did do well, that I think we're not doing well statewide, and this situation is a very good example of that, is that when you want to build a power plant or a transmission line in the state of Arizona, Mark, yeah, Mark knows this too. You have to go through what's called the Power Plant and Transmission Line Siting Committee. Many of you probably have never heard of that. But it's a really important body that has like 12 members on it, and it's very public. And if a utility wants to build a big power plant, it has to go through that body, which has 12 people who decide whether or not the project can be built, where the utility wants to build it, and whether it's appropriate there. And there are environmental experts on that committee, etc. And then that decision has to go up to the Arizona Corporation Commission for a final decision by all 5 elected commissioners. So that is a very different process than the one that we are seeing in multiple communities, and why I am finding myself on the front lines of this issue trying to use nuisance law, which is these companies can come into communities, and sometimes the communities are undermatched for these proposals, right? And so there's no body, and I'm not suggesting there should be a power plant line setting committee for these kinds of projects, but what I'm suggesting is that that kind of vetting happens for utility infrastructure, and it's not happening for these kinds of projects. And that is something that we need to grapple with as a state more broadly, because whether or not we can use nuisance law in this situation, this is going to continue to happen throughout the state of Arizona. And whoever is the Attorney General may or may not decide to enforce nuisance law, right? Obviously, I have decided to do that. So anyway, sorry, that's an aside. I'll let you go back. Let's go back to the comments.